Hey, 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 looks like we're live. Got a green on the audio. Hopefully, everything's going to sound good here. Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to take a look at a few things here. Been feeling very under the weather this past week. Unfortunately, just finally getting out of the woods on just feeling lousy. It wasn't the flu A or B, thank goodness, but you know, viral infections like sinusitis, sinus infections are never good anyway, no matter how you look at it. So let me know if the audio and video is good, guys. I see that there's a few viewers already joined in, and we'll go from there. Say something in the chat if you got a second about the audio and video. Now take a look at the Glenmorangie Tusail, the Glen Spey 12 from Berries, which we'll get into first, and the Laphroaig PX Cask, which is a travel retail only exclusive deal there. Very well worth it if you know someone that travels a lot. It's a 1 liter bottle. It's about, I think the last time it was about a $90 to $100, somewhere around there. Very much well worth it. We'll get into that. It's going to be the second time I've had it. It's a great bottle, and got a sample from a friend recently. We trade, and looking forward to it. I'm going to end on that because it's a peated whiskey. So, all right, thanks a lot, Tom and Eric, and for the feedback. And let's take a look first. I poured this a little bit earlier. This is the Glen Spey 12 we'll start with. It's not a very well-known distillery to most. And I'll look at this. Independent bottling is from Berries Brothers. They've been around quite a long time. I've had recently a Tormore 21 from them. Was not a fan. So this could be a wake-up call as far as whether or not Berry Brothers are a decent independent bottler. They've been around since the 1800s. So, I mean, they might as well be, I mean, they might be doing something right. I know they do a lot of wine work. But we'll see how they do with the Scotch on the second offering I've done with them. So on the Spey, the Glen Spey, it's a 12-year, it's a single cask, and this is specifically from 265 if you're tracking numbers. I had a friend that did a review on it. I kind of did a glance over. I don't like to look at it too much because I don't want it to affect my personal review of it. And we'll take a look at this. I'm going to pour a little bit more from the sample here, if I get a chance to find out where I put the bottle. I just set it down here, but this is enough to work with. We'll just go with this. I see the, oh, there it is. It's behind this one. Just a little bit more. Not much, just this is no water. I always go in neat first. This is going to be a 46% ABV, and it's not it's natural color, and it's not unchill filtered. So it's a very light color. You know, for 12-year, I'm not surprised. We'll go in with a little. Let's see if I can get some white balance to give you guys a reference here. Very, you know, very light, like a white grape color. I would equate it to like a Pinot Grigio if you're doing wine, that type of color. So nothing out of the ordinary. He was not very enthused about it. He gave it a 2.5 out of 5, which is not, you know, on your higher end. But everyone's taste is subjective, and that's what makes this, you know, it's what makes this hobby such a fun thing to do. So. And my nasal passages are completely clear, so I shouldn't have any handicaps on enjoying the dram from the being sick this week, thankfully. And Daddy needs his medicine. So let's see what we can get. Wow, I get a lot of mint as the first note off the bat. It's wow, what a vegetable type notes are in there. I want to say maybe a green bean. I know it's strange, but it's very from the nose is savory, but I am getting some sweetness, some vanilla, definitely, some ginger, kind of like a lemon gumdrop, one of those old school lemon gumdrops you had when you were a kid. Definitely on the lighter end. My wheelhouse is more of a, Isla Campbelltown type of dram. This Glen Spey, I have to look. I think these guys are. Is this a Highland probably? If I take a guess, Speyside. Sorry, Speyside. So close enough. Speysides I do like. I do like Speysides a lot because they do have more of a sweeter tone, to the whiskey. So I can appreciate a Speyside more than a Highland, a Lowland, any other land besides Isla and Campbelltown. But it's very light nose. It's subtle. It does have a lot of vegetal, a lot of sweet, and a lot of mint herbal, like green, maybe some sage in there too. I don't get any basil though. No basil, but definitely some sage I think in there too. Well, let's go for a taste neat, and then we'll put like 1 drop of water. Not bad, but not what I expected. It's definitely has more of a. It's not as, I mean, it's light on the mouth coat, but it's not light on the taste. There's a lot of herbal mint still on the palate. There's a lot of chewiness. Not lettuce by any means, but more of like think of a chewy green vegetable that's not like overpowering taste. We're not talking like Brussels sprouts or anything like that, but a light, fresh chew on a nice leafy green vegetable. Some grass notes in there. The sweetness comes through on the palate. It's very low key on the sweetness. It's definitely more of your herbal, floral, subtle cream of vanilla in there. Even a little toffee, believe it or not, on the back end too. But and that's the finish. It has more of a sweet toffee, almost butterscotch flavor to me on the finish, which I would say is fairly dry and short, which I'm not a fan of. But some people like a real dry drink. Depends on if you. This would go, I think, well with some food and some light food. If this is more of, I would equate this to more of a summer drink with maybe some fish, some salmon, some like nice light fruit salad, summer salad kind of thing, macaroni salad that's cold, that kind of thing. Let's do just a couple drops just to say we gave it a fair chance before we give it a score. And we're talking like minimal little bit here, maybe about that much. This is a bit, I don't want to say strong. It does have a lot of flavor going on. Not my wheelhouse, but I could see people that do like the vegetal, the floral drams with a little sweetness. This is going to be right up their alley. Maybe if you're a big fan of like Dalwhinnie, trying to think of something else that's in that caliber. Oh my! A lot of the Islay barley kind of leans more floral like this. Like your people that like Kilchoman's 100% Islay. People that like the Bruichladdich Islay barley. Some of that stuff. It's not peated, it's not smoked, but definitely has a lot more of those types of properties going on. Yeah, it didn't really do much for the nose, but just kind of tapered it down a little bit. Get a little more mentholyptus, a little bit more of a almost like a medicinal quality on the nose, which is not really what I'm looking for. It's some more grass, fresh cut lawn kind of thing going on there. Tell me if you've and if you guys have had a Glen Spey before. That's GLEN space SPEY. They do have a 21-year-old from the distillery, I believe, and some other things that are, you know, out there that you might have already had. Let me know if you've had it in the comments. If you can't do it during the live show, appreciate it. Hey, Paul. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. Thanks so much for the sample, by the way. Awesome. Now, here's the catch, Paul, and glancing at your review, I definitely know where you're going, because I do get some of the other green. I could tell you were heavy green themed on this, and this definitely has a lot of those notes as I was talking about. I might score a little higher than you, only because I appreciate that it's a strong, assertive flavor, and that's what I'm looking for in Scotch. Even if it's not something that I, adore and want to. I will not buy a bottle of this again. As far as I'm not going to seek it out as the distillery itself. I might give it a try if it's a distillery only bottle, because I have had independent bottlings like a Mortlock, which I did not like, but I've heard that some of the other independent and the distillery will have a really different take on it. So this one, I think you gave it like a 2.5 if I had to go back and look. Yeah. And looks like you had the same kind of sentiment about not looking for another bottle. I would give it a 2.75, slightly a little higher, but only because I appreciate the what they were trying to do with the floral, the vegetal, and the sweetness. If the sweetness was a little more forward, I would have gave it a 3 or a 3.5 even, maybe, if they really did it well. 46 is, it's okay. At least it's not 40 or 43, but 48% with more sweetness somehow would have been, I think, a 3.5 dram or even higher. That's my take on it. So there you go with that guy. So thanks so much for the opportunity to take a look at it, and hopefully you'll be able to review one of mine soon. I'm looking forward to seeing what you thought of a couple. One I wasn't too keen on, that's the Tormore 21, as much as the Glenkeith 21 and the other one, the Ben Nevis 10. But let's take a look at this other guy here. We're going to go next to a brand new one I have not had before. This was a lucky find at the local shop. This is the Glenmorangie Tusail, and this is a 2015. This is a special type of offering. They don't do it but once a year. They've had, I think, I don't want to get this wrong. I think this is number 6, even though it's 15, because I think they started in 09, was the first year they started with the Untitled PX, if I remember correctly. Their latest offering is called a Spios. I don't think it's how you pronounce it, Spios. Gawkin, if you're watching, let me know if my pronunciation's still pretty decent. The Tusail is a special one because it's floor malted by hand, and this is using Maris Otter barley. Now, what makes this interesting is it's a winter barley that's pretty much, done in that time. And I looked a little bit at the flavor profile. I didn't want to be too influenced by it, but let's take a look and see what we think. I am a fan of Glenmorangie's La Santa. It's one of my favorite bottles. I could drink that stuff like water. The 12-year newest 43% version is spot on. The older ones, even though I like the higher ABV, the 46, the offerings were not consistent enough, and they changed it. And the new La Santa is spot on, gorgeous. I love it. The Quinta Raban, port influence, also a good one. Lasanta is more of the sherry bomb. And the only other one I had was the original, which I'm not a big fan of. It's a little too basic for me. I appreciate it as a core, but you know, I want to put something with that core. I don't want it on its own. And hopefully this will, you know, interesting. Sorry, guys. Interesting scent right away. Now let's see what we can get out of this. I'll talk a little bit about it while we let it air a bit here. It's not an age statement, unfortunately. That's the only downfall. But I believe, if I remember, it's not chill filtered, which is a great thing. It's 46%, which is good. Does not talk about color, and it's a bit dark. So I'm gonna have to say I suspect maybe a touch of E150, but don't quote me on it because, you know, unless you're a German that gets all the information on the bottle, you're not gonna really know. And I have not heard a definitive on this guy. Let's take a look at the some of the notes on it. 1 second. It's definitely a all ex-bourbon cask. There's not going to be any sherry influence in this I'm aware of. That kind of frightens me, but hey, there's lots of other things going on with it that could, you know, give it a lot of flavor. That's what I'm looking for, is a lot of flavor. It's I don't see anything on coloring on this guy, so I'm gonna suspect it probably has a little bit, but you know, it's let's do our white balance here. It's not, you know, it's not crazy on the darkness, so it could be natural, but I mean, it's not like Bowmore 15 darkest type of color. If that was the case, I would definitely say there's no doubt there's E150 in this guy. If you do know, let me know if you know that if this guy has extra coloring or not. Oh wow, what a different type of nose going from that Glen Spey 12. This is not what I would consider a subtle nose. That one was much more subtle. This has a lot of fruit, a lot of banana. Banana is the first thing that came, you know, to me. Banana is one of those fruits I have to be in the mood for it to enjoy. If it's a, you know, sometimes it's just not what I'm looking for. Tonight, I'm actually not, you know, thrown off by it too much. So maybe it's because I'm sick. But white grapes, more sweet. This is definitely got some nice marzipan in there. Some icing, some sweetness, like powdered sugar. Wow, I'm gonna have to take a little water before we taste this guy. This is gonna be, I think, a good creamy vanilla taste. I think this is gonna be good. I hope the nose does not disappoint on the palate. Let's see here. Let's have one chip just to make sure we. Thanks for joining us, Mark. Sorry to eat in front of you guys, but it's better to clear the palate than, you know. Let me know if you've had the Tusail. So far, nose is great, outstanding. It's, if you like a fruity, sweet nose, you're gonna love it. Don't think there's, you know, any peat or smoke on this guy at all. It's definitely more fruit, vanilla forward. All right. I think I like the banana on this because it's not. I mean, sometimes like if you have a monkey shoulder, like a blend or a signet that's been sitting for a bit, and then it gets that banana afterward. It's a little more forward in your face, almost like a green banana. This is more of a ripe, nice banana split or a banana like in your cornflakes kind of banana. Two totally different things. I know it's crazy, but that's the way I look at bananas at least. Mm. Wow. That does not disappoint, my friends. That has some spice in it. Not overwhelmingly spicy, but it's a nice nutmeg. A slight touch of cinnamon. Some ginger. Some like ginger snaps even. Some more like for a light whiskey, it's got some darker spice in it. Oh wow. I think this is gonna be a nice one. I don't feel, you know, shortchanged. This does run a little pricey. It's like I mean, the newer ones, the newer private editions go for about, I think, around 100. This one right now, I think because it's a few years old, it's 2015, early 2015. I think you have to shell out about 120 for it. But you know, it, if the Signet was this price, I would be all over the Signet just as much because the Signet I think has a very similar complexity and enjoyment factor out of it. But to me, the Signet's a little bit high. I have heard like, 'cause last time I looked personally, it was $210 to $200. I've heard recently they've been selling it for 160 to 170 now. It's a bit still pricey, but that, you know, is a lot easier to digest than the 200, 210. So if you're a Glenmorangie fan, then that's what I've heard. I could nose this all day. I think the nose, I mean, the palate too is just as good. It's just the nose is well, maybe the nose is a smidgen even better enough to where I could just nose this over and over and over again and never be bored. Mm. Tamar's like a JD number 7 banana. I it's been so long since I've had a Jack Daniel's number 7, man. And I don't remember banana being a very assertive flavor in it, but the banana in this guy is a lot better. I can tell you that. Oh, and Richie Z, thanks for stopping by, my friend. And I've had the Tusail. It's nice. Well, if you have a dram nearby, pour you a little bit. Let's enjoy it together here and share some moments. But I think you probably already drank your bottle if you got it back in 2015. I have a feeling, unless you got two and kept one unopened, but that's a whole different scenario. Yeah, that's nice. This I'm glad I've had a good experience with this because they have the Milchon, they have the Alanta, the RTN, they have the Campanta, the Solanta PX. I mean, they have this is like this is number 6, so it'd be 7, 8, 9, 10. I think they're on 10 or 11 of the private editions. This is going to be a collection of bottles, I have a feeling. Um, and even though I'm a big fan of Isla and a big fan of Campbelltown, I have nothing against Glenmorangie. Not big on the original, but everything else has been pretty damn good. Glenfiddich is also a good one. I think on the side I've had the 12, which I think I liked it better than the Glenmorangie original, but just by a little bit. The Glenfiddich Solera I thought was pretty darn good. I haven't had anything else, I don't think, by those guys yet. So I'm looking forward to giving them a fair chance, So just because you like a heavy peated smoky whiskey doesn't mean you're not going to like some of these other, what you might consider more delicate. To me, as long as it's a really powerful sort of flavor, I'm going to probably end up liking it. And as long as there's no corn in it, I'm not a fan of corn whiskey at all. So this I could drink pretty much all day. I have a feeling. Oh, Richie says his bottle is empty. He did buy one in 2016. Yeah. Yeah, I got lucky on finding this. I'm surprised it was still there. When I saw it, I thought, because I have a sheet that I have prices for another store, and I was looking at my sheet, I was looking at they had the Milchon, they had the Alanta and some other ones, and I saw in front of me the Tusail, and I'm like, I haven't seen that. What am I missing here? And that's why I picked it up, just because the other store that I usually go to didn't even have it. They had all the other ones besides this one. So I figured, well, if this store, which usually has everything, if they're out of it, it probably was a very good year. So this doesn't need any water or anything. I'm gonna give just a couple drops just to be fair and balanced. Baby on this because I don't have much left in the glass. Thanks so much, guys, for stopping by and enjoying some of these with me. No corn, you must hate bourbon. That's right. I do hate bourbon, my friend. Not a fan of bourbon and not a fan of gin. I do like vodka. I do like a lot of Scotch is my favorite. I do like rye. I had an Emirate Indian rye, which was really good before, and I've had another rye recently. It was the High West Midsummer's Night's Dream. That was a really good one too. Not as good as the Emirate, but like the Emirate's one of the best whiskeys I've ever had. And just because it's a rye doesn't mean I liked it any less than some of the best scotches. I'll just tell you something right there. It's not cheap, I hear, though. I got lucky on getting a taste of that one. Anyway, I have had a couple bourbons I liked. I had this bourbon and bond. It was from Colonel. What was that? It's the Colonel Taylor Ford Green bottled and bond. I did enjoy that enough to where I saved some for my stepfather. I'm gonna have to share with him, see what he thinks of it, because he is a big bourbon fan. Also, recently got the Four Roses. Let's see, it's over there. I can't remember exactly where, but it's like a single. It's a single barrel edition. It's supposed to be really, really, really good. And I'm gonna have a sip of that and save some for him as well. He'll probably enjoy that a lot. So I mean, there's a couple bourbons that I've liked, but they have to. I mean, I have had the Pappy Van Winkle 23 year before it blew up and was really popular, and it just wasn't my thing. I know it's sacrilegious to say it, but I've had the 23, the 21, the at least I know the top two. I'm not sure if I had the third lowest one. I think it's like a 19 or something, but I have had a 23 and the 21, and it just didn't do it for me like some of these other ones, specialized ones. So. The nose with the water didn't really change it to me. I didn't put a whole lot on, but I don't think it needs it. I don't think it needs a drop of water. Palate was good still. It might have a little more, not as much spice, but I like the balance of the spice and the fruit together. So I wouldn't add any water to that. That's just me. Let's move on to one of my favorites. Definitely, if you find this guy, don't be afraid to pick it up, especially if you find it for about $100. I'm not sure if you can get it that glow anymore, but now let's go for a real nice one, the Laphroaig PX Cask. Travel retail only, 48% of great goodness, most likely natural color and non-chill filtered, but unfortunately he's incorrect on this. I have heard from Germany that all Laphroaigs have some sort of coloring in them, just the way it is. I think it's because of uniformity. A lot of these guys are big on marketing to the point where they feel like they have to add, I guess, a certain amount to make it all look really uniform, all the same. Not chill filtered, and I would think that's the case on that. Laphroaig, I don't think does a lot of that anyway. Let's have a fresh new glass. This is a peated whiskey. It's not a peat monster by any means, because of the Pedro Ximenez, which is the PX Pedro Ximenez, you know, influence, the casking on it. And we're gonna pour us a nice size. This is gonna be the last stream of the evening, so we're gonna go out with a blaze of glory on this guy. We can get rid of this parafilm tape. This is kind of a good little knowledge pass or owner thing. It might be good for you guys that store whiskey, like myself. That you can't drink everything. You might want to save something. Get yourself some 2-ounce bottles. Make sure they're food grade, and get you some parafilm tape. PARAFILM. And I used to actually melt beeswax and dip the bottles and all that. And the problem with that is, even though it's a great seal, when you're ready to reuse the bottle and take it apart and all that, it's a mess to clean up. And the whole melting process. I mean, it's something. I would only melt beeswax and do all that if I'm doing something for a real special bottle, like maybe like an Infinity Solera bottle, or like a huge gift to somebody. Like, if I'm gonna not give them a whole bottle, then it's something that's extremely rare, extremely expensive. I'm gonna give them like that much of it. I might do the whole dipping and give it to them. The presentation is great, but as far as really practicality, I would use the parafilm tape, and you can get this from Amazon. It's very cheap. You get a big roll of it. I usually just pull three, probably about an inch, so like 3 times. I'm thinking like 6 inches of tape. I cut it, and then I take the film off, and I'll put a layer around, starting with the top here and about to right here, and I'll put it all on, and I'll get it real tight, and I'll do the same thing all over again, do it twice to give it a really good seal. And you saw how easy it was to get that parafilm tape off. It's completely gone now, so it's a nice thing to do, I think, for self-preservation, storage, things like that. Going back to Tom R, he said the Teeling single grain bit, that is corn-based Irish whiskey. Irish whiskeys, Tom, the one I have my eye on, I haven't really tried any Irish whiskeys properly other than your typical Jamesons or Bushmills. There is a decent Irish bar really close to me. I need to go back to. I want to see if they have any Connemara. And I've heard Connemara is interesting because it's an Irish whiskey that's peated. They have a cask strength Connemara. They have a 12-year. They have a regular, like heavily peated, I guess you call it, and a couple more. One I think it's cask strength, really high, like 60-something, 61%. And another one. They have like 5 or 6 different offerings, and that's one I've got my eye on trying. I haven't tried it yet. I've heard good reviews. I know Ralphie's done a review that was complimentary, and I think I've seen a couple other ones that were giving them some praise, so it might be worth a look on that. Let me know if you've had any Connemara and what you thought of it. Tamar asks, have you tried the Joseph Magnus bourbon? The distillery is in DC. Oh, wow. I have not. Joseph Magnus. I'll have to remember that one and take a look and see if I can find it. Did you like it? If you have had it, just out of curiosity. Hopefully, it was something that, if you remember it, I guess had been pretty good, right? Tom, have you had this Laphroaig PX Cask? I'm sure you probably already have, but if you haven't, you got to seek it out, my friend. Find you a buddy that travels a lot, or if you don't have anyone like that just get it off of like Master of Malt or something to order it. You will not be disappointed if you like a little sweetness with your peat. If you're a Lagavulin Distillers Edition fan, you're going to love this stuff too, just as much, I think, if not more, because the peat is a little more forward in this guy than the Lagavulin Distillers Edition, but you still have that sherry goodness that you might like, with it. So, oh my, great nose. It's like, you get the campfire barbecue right off the nose. First thing, barbecue and campfire. And you get There's great sweetness. That sherry is there. It's like nosing a Abelauer Abanat. It's like in the background. Not, you know, the Abelauer Abanat does not have any like peat like this, but I mean, it's a great balanced. If you want to take the Laphroaig tin and put that Abelauer with it, that's what you're going to get with this glass. It's so good. I mean, of course, you've got still have the vanilla, but you've got lots of great red fruits, medium red fruits like strawberries, raspberries. It's some nice cherries, not black cherries. It's not dark, no plums, nothing like that. But it's got some really nice forward, medium assertive red fruit. Some, you know, maybe some currant, but oh, what is that? Rhubarb. I got some rhubarb in there too. Just enough twang to give it some character. Another one I can nose all night and day. Excellent. Laphroaig is one of my favorite distilleries of all time. Just looking over here, I've got the Carriages 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. I've got the PX cask, the QA cask, the Lore, the quarter cask, the triple wood, the cask strength, the regular tin, the select, which it's okay. Good for entry level if you got a buddy that's never had a peated whiskey or an Isla, maybe one to go with, but just didn't do it much for me. But at least 12 different offerings over there, so that tells you I must like it. Tomar says that the Joseph Magnus bourbon got amazing reviews, but are finished in cognac and armagnac cask, and the master blender is Nancy the Nose. That's interesting. I know cognac. I'm not familiar with armagnac. I've seen that before. I do not know what that is. I'll have to look it up and get educated on the armagnac. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of it, so forgive me. But I do know cognac at least, though. I just bought 2 bottles, but haven't opened them yet. Maybe over the weekend. Like almost all Isle Scotch, but don't care for Laphroaig. Tom. Tom, how could you? I tell you what, okay, here's the deal, Tom. My first Laphroaig tin I was not a fan of. My first dram I had at a restaurant. Once I played with a little bit with the water, got it a little, tamed just slightly. Still got my medicinal TCP, my Band-Aids, all the stuff I'm looking for in an island. Then I was happy. Now for the Laphroaig, which ones have you already had? Have you had anything outside of just the tin, or the tin cask strength, or the quarter cask, or have you just had those 3? That does make a big difference. This PX cask does not taste anything like the tin, or the tin cask strength, or the quarter cask. It's completely its own thing. It's kind of like having the Lagavulin Distiller's Edition, because to me, it's nothing like the 16. It's nothing like the 8 or the 12. It's kind of in its own little world. So you might actually enjoy the PX. I wouldn't go out and get a bottle if you're not a fan of the distillery, but if you do have an option for a buddy to give you a sample, or if you have a way to get a sample at a expo, or one of those Flavier or Scotch Whisky Society, or one of those clubs, maybe get a sample off that and then try it and see what you think, because I think you might like it. I mean, if you like okay, too much iodine, yeah. He's not a fan of the TCP iodine type of deal, and that is pretty forward with Laphroaig, and I do appreciate it, and I think that you might steer clear of it. So I can understand that. I wouldn't waste your time with the PX cask though, because it does have some TCP iodine character to it. The Lore was okay, but I wouldn't buy a bottle. Yeah, you got to be in the mood for the medicinal. That's the trademark of Laphroaig versus Lagavulin. Lagavulin is a more earthier peat, a little more smoked, I'd say. but Laphroaig does have more of the medicinal side to it. And at first, I didn't. It might grow on you, Tom. I don't know how much you've already drank of it before, but if you've already had the 10 and the lore and still didn't get into it, you might not ever really dive all in. But at first, I was turned off by it. It was too much for me, the first strand. But by the time I bought a bottle, I sat down, played with it. The more I drank it, the more I ended up liking it. It's one of those things that it's almost like doing something that you don't necessarily enjoy very much at first, but the more you do it anyway, the more you end up liking it. Kind of like exercise, or I'm trying to think of something that's like something that's almost painful, but something that you get addicted to. It's one of those kind of weird things. I'm not sure how else to equate it, or you know. Tom R says his favorite is Kalila, and then Lagavulin, and then Ardbeg. Okay, I see where you're going. Huh, I wonder what you think of. Have you tried Kilhoman? You probably like Kilhoman. Colonoscopy. No, I'm not sure if I would. Thankfully, I'm not there yet. I'll be 43 later on. But when I hit 50 and I have to go through all that, man, I'm not sure if I'll ever get used to those. Colonoscopy. That's just downright horrible, man. Haven't tried a Kilhoman yet. Oh, well, I got a few back here. I got a Lochgorm, and Welsh earlier said that he was interested in having a sample of that. I saw. If you're still around, Welsh, I'd love to pour you a big fat dram of that Lochgorm. It's an empty bottle right now. The Seneg, it's another good one, more of sherry. Lochgorm is more of your smoky, heavy stuff. Seneg is more of your sherry influenced, really good balance, a lot of spice. I liked it a lot. My favorite, though, is that red wine matured cask, and that is just a glorious, well-rounded wine, a red wine influenced Isla Blaze of Glory. Is all I can say. Yeah, please do get that, Tamar, and I will promise you next week I will open up the Springbank 14 Bourbon Wood with you. I've got it right up there, unopened, ready to go, and I would love to have that with you next Thursday. So that would be an awesome time, and we could review it together and put it in a. If you can't make it on the live show, then put your notes in the comments. Actually, you know what? Either way, if you don't mind, copy your notes down on some sort of format, like Notepad on your computer or whatever. And even if you do, let me know what you think in the regular chat. Also, tell me what you think in the comments, because that way other people can see what your take was it, and they'll get mine from the video, and then they can compare. We might both think it's the best thing since sliced bread, so you never know. Going back to the Laphroaig PX Cask, it's excellent, excellent, excellent whiskey. It doesn't need a damn thing. Doesn't need any water. You could put a couple drops on it. I have had it with water in the past. I didn't think it really did much for it. These master distillers know what they're doing pretty much, unless they tell you they want you to add water, which means it's usually cask strength. If that's the case, then add a couple drops. But if it's below 50, 48%, I wouldn't, mess with it much, because they pretty much have set it the way they think you're going to enjoy it. But that's just the way I've heard it goes. Oh, my. Good deal, Tom. I'll looking forward to doing that review with you, and I'm sure we're not going to be disappointed. It's 14 years, and it's a Springbank, so how could you go wrong? It doesn't have that crazy, name of an NAS on it. It's not chill filtered. It's not colored. It's bottled and floor malted and dunnage warehoused and done by one distillery the whole way through. A Springbank is just outstanding. So, But nothing put up anything past Laphroaig. I'm looking forward for Laphroaig. I'm looking forward to their Carriages 15 for 2018. That's going to be their new Carriages. They already have it out for their Friends of Laphroaig, which, as an American, it sucks because I can't get it. I even went to a local tasting where one of the so-called ambassadors, or whatever their title is, they show up to one of these local liquor stores, and they come in their kilt and they have their Carriages 2017, which I've had like early this year. They'll have the lower and the quarter and the triple wood and all the typical stuff. And I'm like, how about a little dram of that Carriages 15, my friend? And the guy didn't even know what I was talking about. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. How can you work for Laphroaig and be like an ambassador, or even just a reseller, distributor, whatever, and go through all that and not know what the next year's Carriages is going to be? That's, to me, is just blasphemy. I thought it was crazy. Oh my! What do you do, right? Well, thanks so much, guys, for hanging out with me tonight, and definitely go for the PX Cask and Laphroaig. The finish is outstanding. It lasts for a long time. It's a long finish. That smoke is still lingering. The sweetness, the raspberry strawberry combination is still there. Oh, it's one of those that you'll really enjoy for a long time. And if you get your 1 liter bottle, that'll last even longer. So it's like a win-win. So, well, thanks guys for stopping by. I'm gonna have to cut it off, but thanks for bearing with my voice and my being actually pretty sick. This made me feel a lot better, as you could probably tell. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next Thursday already. Maybe I'll try to do a special Tuesday just out of the blue show. I've been seeing that a lot, I know, and I just haven't had the time. But if not, Tuesday, it's kind of hard to do any other day because everyone else has got a show going on, it seems like, nowadays. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll do it earlier and get more people on board. Well, so much of